Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy, and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, places like that to sell things online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already so you can be kept informed of all of our latest content. Today's video is going to be what sold for the week of March 26th through April 1st. Let's get started. The first thing we sold was a full set of baseball cards from the 1995 National Pack Time set. It included a case and it was in near mint condition. This was from my husband's personal collection. It didn't sell for much. These cards unfortunately aren't worth very much. We sold them on offer to buyer for $8.48. The good news is since it was from our personal collection and my husband had it since the 90s, we consider our cost zero. We did get positive feedback on this as well. The next thing we sold was also something that belonged to us. We sold two of these. They were old laptop computers. We just upgraded our computers. We sold these on auction, and we don't keep very many items in like a death pile. We do not like having things sit around, but these are items that were in a true death pile. They were just sitting there forever. In fact, I had my new computer sitting on top of this old computer for the longest time. And then finally I was like, is my computer sitting on top of another computer? Like that's how much it was, that's how long it had been sitting there. It just became kind of like a fixture. And finally we got around to reformatting it back to its original state and selling it. This one sold for $71 even. We did do it as an auction, and so we were happy about that. This was a Toshiba Satellite Windows 8 computer. Next up was a lot of 3 2021 McDonald's Happy Meal toys from the movie Luca. I do find that these Luca toys sell well. These 3 were out of the package, so we lotted them together and sold them. But we sell these Luca toys on a regular basis. I normally wouldn't pick up toys that are out of the package, but the Luca ones seem to have sold well for us. We got these in thrift store toy bags, so these are not ones that we actively sought out. They just happened to be in toy bags that we picked up. These we paid 43 cents for, and they sold for $12.75, which is pretty darn good for Happy Meal toys. Next up was another one of our old laptop computers. This was another Toshiba Satellite. This one was a Windows 10 computer. Neither one of our old laptops were in perfect condition. Like one of them, the keyboard was kind of sticky. I think we had spilled a drink on it, and the space bar was sticky. And I don't remember what the deal was with the other one, but we disclosed the issues with both of them, and they still sold very well in our opinion. This particular one sold on auction for $81. Next up on the list was a vintage Pro Player brand XXL 1999 Western Conference Champions Dallas Stars t-shirt. We had gone to an estate sale and gotten so many vintage 90s vintage sports t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats. That place was a gold mine. And I will link the video above and in the description box below. That video didn't get very many views. I think my thumbnail really sucked. I need to go in and update that thumbnail. But I think the video itself wasn't bad, but we just were finding score after score after score. In fact, this what sold video is chock full of things that we found at that estate sale, because it wasn't just all of these amazing vintage sports shirts. We found all kinds of amazing things at that estate sale. It was just like a crazy morning. We were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're finding all this amazing stuff. And we found one really, really big score there. So I'll link that and you can check it out, and maybe by the time I post this video, I'll have remembered to update that horrible thumbnail that I put up. But anyway, this particular shirt sold, and we had paid $3 for it, and it sold for, let's see, $29.68 on offer to buyer. Next up was one of the vintage Playboy magazines. We are almost about to be out of vintage Playboys. This one sold for $12.99, and we had picked these up on a big lot of them from a lady on the Nextdoor app. We paid $1.43 per issue for these. Next up is a record. This one was Bill Black's Combo. Bill Plays the Blues, or something along those lines. This we got at an estate sale in a big lot of records. We paid 30 cents per record. This one sold for $7.58, which isn't much. A lot of these were not in great condition, but we did get positive feedback on this one. Next up is a lot of 5 Lululemon reusable tote bags. We got these in the Goodwill outlet in the bins. We paid 67 cents for all of them, and they sold on best offer for $24. Next up was a toner cartridge. It was not a name brand, it was just a replacement toner cartridge for an HP, but it was not HP brand. This sold for $31.99. We paid $3.19 from on a toner liquidation lot that we got. Unfortunately, we did refund the buyer on this one. This was on the heels of that other toner refund that we had to do when we were scammed by that buyer that sent back their empty toner cartridge, and then eBay did not side with us, and we were totally scammed on that one. And I was just feeling really iffy about it, and I just ended up refunding this buyer. I don't know if that was the right decision or not, but I was just feeling really sick to my stomach about the whole deal, because it was literally days after we had just gone through that whole getting scammed by that other buyer. So I'll link that video above as well, so you can check that out. Next up is a pair of yellow Barbie shoes. We got a Ziploc bag full of yellow Barbie shoes. It was all yellow Barbie shoes. It was somebody's collection. This was just one pair. These sold for $11.98. We did get these in the Goodwill bins. I think I did not mention that. We paid 61 cents for those. We had averaged out our cost. We always do that when we shop in the bins. We got positive feedback on these. Next up was another vintage Playboy magazine. This was the May 1985 edition. This sold for only $8.99. The condition varied on these, and then of course we comped them based on what issue it was. Each issue we paid $1.43 for. We did get positive feedback on this one. Next up was a tube of Meaningful Beauty by Cindy Crawford. It was a face mask. It was just a little travel size, like a 0.75 ounce size. It was new in the package and sealed. This we picked up at a thrift store. We had gone one day, driven about 45 minutes away from our house to another neighboring town to go to an estate sale. And then while we were there, we stopped at a thrift store that we had never been to, and we found this. It sold for $14.99, and we had paid $1.62 for it. The buyer paid asking price. Next up was a little 18-inch Louisville Slugger commemorative, like a little mini baseball bat. This we had gotten in the Goodwill bins. We had paid 67 cents, and it sold on offer to buyer for $15.98. Next up was a really good find that we had gotten at probably the best garage sale we ever went to, in regards to the amount of profit that we made compared to what we paid. So this was a vintage 1960s. It was called a Sun Diner, and it was a solar cooker. It was it looked like it had possibly been used. I don't know that it had ever been used, but it was kind of dinged up, probably just from age. It was so awesome. It had its original box and everything. It was just an amazing find, and we got the best prices at this garage sale. I mean, our profit per item, like how much we made based on what we paid, was just absolutely amazing. And we just got some amazing scores at that sale. So we paid $5 for this piece, and it sold for $265. That included shipping, but still, it was just an amazing find. It took a while to sell, and we had a lot of watchers on it and a few lowball offers, but it didn't take any ridiculous amount of time to sell. I mean, it probably took 9 months or something to sell. It was great. Great find. Next up was a skein of Jiffy Lion brand yarn. It was acrylic yarn in the color oat. We pick up a lot of yarn, especially in the Goodwill bins. Our Goodwill bins get a lot of unsold merchandise, I think, from Hobby Lobby and a lot of crafting stores, I think. I think also from like Michael's and places like that, because we find a lot of yarn and a lot of crafting items when we go to the Goodwill bins. We tend to not go to the Goodwill bins in the summertime and in the springtime when it's warm, because we go to garage sales instead. So Goodwill bins is more of our winter sourcing location. So we haven't been in a while. But this sold for $16.99, which was our full asking price, and we had paid 61 cents. Next up was another item we found in the Goodwill bins. It was the brand was Wilderness Dreams, and it was a triangle bikini top in a camo print, and it was new with tags. It sold for $10.98 on offer to buyer, and we paid 92 cents for that. Next up was something we got at a garage sale. It was a boutique style. It looked like something you would get at a boutique. The brand was Behave. It was toddler girls size 4T, a holiday Christmas outfit, had like little ruffle pants and top. It said Joy across the top. That sold for $15.18, and we had paid $3. Unfortunately, the buyer said that it didn't fit, and it was returned, and we've since relisted it. Next up was another item we got at that estate sale. We called it the Sugar Train estate sale because we purchased an item that was called the Sugar Train. So that was the same item where we got all the sports shirts that I said was such a great estate sale. This was purchased there. It was a Cabela's heavyweight chamois shirt. I think chamois shirts sell really well, so that would be a bolo item that I would recommend picking up. This one happened to be new with tags. It sold immediately, like within a couple days of us listing it. This sold for $39.99, and we had paid $6. Next up is another bolo item. This is something that we got in the Goodwill bins, and like I said, our Goodwill bins happen to have a lot of crafting items, and this was no exception. And every single item that we have picked up in the Goodwill bins by this brand has sold immediately, and sold really almost for asking price, I think. And the brand is called Tim Holtz Ideology, and it's all scrapbooking stuff. This was a 5x7. It was called a grunge book, and it's like a scrapbook that you could, the actual scrapbook that you would, your starting point for creating. This sold for $18.99. We paid 67 cents for it. And other items that we've sold by this brand are, is glitter glue, and then I can't remember, I think also like some kind of stickers or something like that, but everything has sold quickly and for pretty decent prices. So we would definitely look for that brand. Next up is another crafting item that we got in the Goodwill bins. This was 24 books. They were sold in packs, and they were blank pages. So these were also scrapbooks or journals or something like that that you would use. They were 8x8, 16-page books in rainbow colors. These we paid 67 cents for, and they sold for $15.19. Next up is another crafting item, but this we had picked up at a local thrift store. These were Creative Memory 5x7 page protectors. We paid 15 cents for these. I had gotten these in a big bag of crafting items, and these sold for $11.18 on offer to buyer. We did get positive feedback on these. Next up was another yarn item that we got in the Goodwill bins. This one was by Karen Cakes in the color Red Velvet, which I think is a discontinued color. This we paid $1.50 for, and it sold for $18.99. And the buyer left positive feedback. But then, and we offer free shipping on all of our items. So I found it really strange when she left positive feedback, but within her positive feedback complained about our high shipping prices. I was like, what? It was free shipping. And I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to call attention to it. It was positive feedback. So I knew that once people left more feedback, that would just disappear down the line and nobody would notice it. But I was like, how can you complain about free shipping and say that it's too high? Man, I never understand people. Next up was another item we got in the Goodwill bins. And we just pick, when we're in the Goodwill bins, if something is new in package, we pick it up because it sells, we get it for so cheap, we can make a profit on it, and people buy anything on eBay. It's crazy. And this was not a vintage item. It was actually a modern item, but it was in the style of a vintage item. The brand was Century, and these were like the old-fashioned style over-the-ear foam headphones with like the ear pads. These we paid 94 cents and they sold for $7.98. So, we probably made $1.50 in profit, which is not much, but we still made a profit. They sold really pretty quickly and we got positive feedback on them. So we were happy about that. Next up was something from our personal collection. This was my husband's. It was a 1981 penny collection, and it was in a little portfolio. So that sold for $24.99. It had 26 pennies in it, so I had our cost written down as 26 cents. Next up was one of the toners that we got from the toner liquidation. This one, the buyer seemed happy with. We didn't get positive feedback or negative feedback. So I say no feedback is good feedback. This sold for $39.99. We paid $3.19 for each of the toners, so that one was good. Most of the time we sell toner, we get good feedback or no feedback, and we never hear another word, and all is well. But we had those two back-to-back ones, and I was just having a bad experience with toner there for a minute. Next up was a little girl's size, like a toddler or a little girl's size 4 Lily Pulitzer dress, one of the classic shift dresses. This one was in the lily pad frog print. This we got at a garage sale for $2 and it sold for $37.99. Next up was something we found in the Goodwill bins. It wasn't any particular brand. It didn't have any kind of maker's mark on it, but it was just cute and interesting looking, so I picked it up. It was about 5 inches and it was a pearlescent. I couldn't really determine with certainty what it was made of, but it didn't seem like it was glass, like blown glass. It seemed more like a really heavy resin, so that's what I listed it as. And it was like a sexy Santa hippo. So it was a Christmas ornament, if I didn't mention that already. We paid 94 cents for it and we sold it for $24.99. This is a perfect example of why we immediately list Christmas stuff and we don't wait until Christmas time, because Christmas stuff sells year round for us. Whether it's Christmas ornaments, Christmas decor, Christmas clothing, any kind of Christmas items, it sells year round for us. And we don't discount the price when we list it earlier in the year, because it will sell at any price at any time during the year. So I guess when I hear people say we're going to wait to list this until Christmas time, I think, boy, that's a mistake, because you might be missing out on people who are willing to pay up for it because it's more challenging for them to get it at this time of year. So I definitely would not wait to list it until closer to Christmas, because you may be missing out on people who are wanting or needing that for some reason during the off times of year and can't get it otherwise or elsewhere. So that's my tip. Next up was an item we got in the Goodwill bins. It's by Dana Buckman. It was a women's size 4 100% raw silk sheath dress. This, it was really wrinkled up in the bins, which is why someone may not have picked it up otherwise. It just needed a good steaming, but it was a really pretty dress otherwise. This sold for $40 even on best offer, and we paid 92 cents for it. Next up was something that we got at a church sale. It was a pair of women's size 7.5 Nike Zoom Rival Sprint shoes. When I got these home, I realized that they were missing a couple of the spikes on the bottom, but we did disclose that and we discounted them significantly and sold those for $20 even. We took a best offer on those, but we did only pay for $1 for them, so we still made a profit. Next up was something that we had gotten at that thrift store when we went to the estate sale about 45 minutes away. This was a brand new in package freshwater aquarium test kit. This sold for $36.99 and we paid $3.24 for it. I got a lot of lowball offers on this, but waited. We knew that it would sell, and it did. Next up was a vintage 1990s, like Y2K style black goth safety pin dress. My husband picked this up at a garage sale. This sold for $58 even on best offer, and he only paid $1 for it, so that was a great pickup. Lip Service, that brand in particular, this was one of their more plain style dresses, but they make some real crazy looking goth clothing. So if you ever see this brand, if we have a picture of the tag in our listing, I'll show it over here. But that is a definite BOLO pickup, because some of those dresses sell for way higher than what ours sold for. So definitely that is a BOLO. If you see that, pick it up. Definite BOLO. Next up was the brand is Gallery. I think it sold at Walmart, but it was a 10-inch hot pink stuffed flamingo. It would have normally come with candy canes at Christmas time, but those were taken off, which was good. We would have taken them off and not sold them with those anyway. This sold for $12.99, and we had gotten this at the Goodwill outlet, and we paid 92 cents. We've sold several stuffed animals by Gallery, so that's something that if we see it and it's in good condition, new with tags, we generally pick that up if we see it at the Goodwill bins or something like that. Next up was a J. Crew white and black polka dot silk blend blouse. This we got at a thrift store for $1.35, and it sold for $21.58 on offer to buyer. Next up were more of those shoes that we got, the little Barbie shoes that we got in the yellow Barbie shoe bag, but these were the remainders that didn't have any mates. So this was just 4 individual mismatched shoes. These sold for $9.99 and we paid 61 cents for these, and we did get positive feedback on them. Next up was, the brand was Be Puzzled, and it was a 3D Snoopy puzzle. It was Snoopy with his house. It was missing the green base, and we disclosed that it was in the title, it was in the description, it was in the item details. That came from a thrift store. It was in a toy bag, and I put it together myself to make sure all the pieces were there, and then we showed a picture of it with all the pieces separate in the listing, I think with it put together, and that sold, we paid 43 cents for that. It sold for $10.38. And then the buyer had it for quite a while, and we heard back from them that there was a piece missing. And it was like one of the interior pieces that you couldn't see. It was kind of like a clear puzzle though, as you can see from the picture. And I said, well, you know, I put that puzzle together myself and I know that piece was there. And actually, if you look at the pictures in the listing, you can see through and you can see that piece. And so I said, can you send me a picture of it put together and show me where the piece is missing? And they sent me a picture of my listing picture and circled which piece was missing. And I said, well, you can see that that piece is there. And they said, well, you didn't send it. And I said, well, I need you to send me a picture of it put together with the piece missing. And they weren't really able to successfully do that, or didn't do it, and then said that I was calling them a liar. And I don't know, you know, I hate to call people liars, but I didn't know if they were scamming or what was happening. I did end up giving them $2 back, which I'm not sure if I regret that or not, because I'm not sure if I prevented them from giving negative feedback. But in the future, I think I've just decided I'm not going to give in to the terrorists and give the partial refund. But I think I just need to reinforce to myself that that I'm not going to give partial refunds in the future, and stick to that plan and not give in. Let me know your thoughts on that. How do you handle situations like that? Next up was a Victoria's Secret bra that we had gotten at a garage sale. I averaged out my cost at this garage sale and said we paid 71 cents for it, and it sold on best offer for $20. Next up was a Maxell blank cassette. For some reason we sold this one individually. Usually we wait till we get a big lot of them, but I think we just weren't getting any more. And so finally we just listed this one. It sold for $7.05, which is a very odd amount. So it must have sold on best offer. And we had paid 50 cents for this at a garage sale. Next up was a great find. We got this That's Entertainment Blu-ray, brand new, sealed at the Goodwill outlet, and it sold for a whopping $54.99. I'm not sure why that had such a high value, but it sold really quickly too. We paid $1.41 for that. Next up was more yarn. This was Cascade Yarns. This one was 100% merino wool, which merino wool or wool, 100% wool yarn always sells really well for us. This sold for $11.98 on offer to buyer. We had gotten this in the Goodwill bins, and we paid 67 cents. Next up were more gel clings. If you have watched our videos before, you know about the gel clings. These we got on retail arbitrage. We paid 33 cents, and they sold for $10.98 on best offer. And last but not least, this was our big home run from the Sugar Train sale. The Sugar Train estate sale. And my husband and I, neither one of us are familiar at all with vintage sports caps, baseball caps, but we want to learn after this, because I just happened to pick this up. I grabbed it because I could tell that it was vintage, and I knew that we had picked up a lot of vintage t-shirts, so I just grabbed it, threw it in our bag, got it home and started researching it, and I was like, wow, this we really did good on this one. And so we did it as an auction, and it was a vintage sports specialties, which apparently is a vintage baseball cap that is something you need to be on the lookout for. And this one was 100% wool Dallas Mavericks snapback cap. It had like a tiny little area of moth damage, very, very small, which we disclosed. We paid $3 for it, and it sold on auction for $103.50, which we were thrilled about. There was another one listed that somebody had listed for $800, which we knew was absolutely ridiculous. But the other beauty of this sale is that it sold to someone in Austin, and we're located in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex in Texas, so shipping was low, and we were super, super excited about this sale. That paid for practically the whole cost of this estate sale, or nearly all of it, so we were really excited about it. And then last but not least, I'll talk about all of the sports cards, or all of the collectible cards that we sold from my husband's personal collection. This week we sold 19 cards for a total of $49 even. So it was a good week for collectible cards for us as well. So that wraps up our sales for the week of March 26th through April 1st. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed, we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching. Bye.